Today, Formula One is about speed, and racers decide their fate at 370 kilometers per hour, but with safety precautions. However, you might be surprised to find out that it wasn't always like this. Back in the days of Enzo Ferrari, the priority wasn't the driver, it was the car. So why did it change? In today's video, we're travelling back in time to witness the chilling era of Enzo Ferrari and how much F1 has changed. Put in those earplugs because it's about to get loud. Formula One is the world's most thrilling racing competition and the pinnacle of motorsport. It's like nothing you've ever seen. With a total of 24 races in exciting locations around the world, Formula One is an elite and international sport. Each fascinating race is watched by a huge number of fans around the world. This includes the hundreds of thousands lining up and flocking through the gates to catch a glimpse at each Grand Prix in person, and the millions of followers viewing from afar. 21 countries and 5 continents compete against each other to host races in F1. These feature classic tracks such as Silverstone, Suzuka and Spa-Francorchamps. This offers fans around the globe something to look out for and potentially close to home. Each man needs a team and good enough to change all 4 tyres in under 2 seconds. A winner eventually emerges from the total of 20 races. And to be the best, F1 drivers push themselves and their innovative race cars to the very limit. Millions are invested to ensure the driver's safety, which is backed up by high-tech gears and careful engineering. But this wasn't the case during the time of Enzo Ferrari. Yes, the Enzo Ferrari. But before we tell you more, if you enjoy Formula One, don't forget to like and subscribe, as we have the most thrilling stories on your favourite sport that you don't want to miss. Right, back to the video. What's this man about, you might ask? Born in Modena, Italy in 1898, Enzo Ferrari is a man in love with motorsports. His love for speed was behind him building the Ferrari brand around his vision of building the fastest cars and winning no matter the cost. He's been in F1 since the very start, competing non-stop since the first season in 1950. He was a legend, but like every legend, there was a flaw. Ferrari had a notorious reputation for putting their car first before the driver. His single-minded dedication to building the world's fastest cars and not caring about the driver was chilling to see. In Ferrari's perspective, the driver was only an extension of the machine. Important, yes, but replaceable. Ferrari's relationship with his drivers was far off and cold. This is nothing like the way modern teams pamper, protect and work closely with their drivers. He believed that the car should earn the spotlight of the show, having a philosophy that the machines are the ones doing the work. To Ferrari, as long as his drivers were represented on track, he would remain unmoved by the risks involved for them. But what's that kind of principle without a consequence? Or was there something shady behind all those sacrifices? It takes guts to do what Enzo Ferrari did, but his cold philosophy about humans and cars had some real consequences. It's no doubt that Ferrari's drivers were respected, but they also feared his cold approach towards their lives. It was as if Ferrari had a transactional relationship between himself and his drivers, much like a chess player sacrificing pawns to aim at a bigger target. While some shared this philosophy in motorsports at the time, Ferrari's method was far-fetched. His lack of emotion made drivers feel expendable, which reminded them that they can be replaced at any time. Many believed that Enzo's reason for being so cold and distant was to keep the team's focus on victory over anything else, even if it meant having a roster of drivers willing to die for the brand. Ferrari once publicly stated, "I don't care whether a driver is dead or alive, it's the car that counts." To some people, these words show just how determined he was, and to others, they were a reminder of how very little he valued drivers' lives to his machines. Now, did you know that it took the deaths of some great drivers for a change to come? One of the most heartbreaking outcomes of Ferrari's chilling philosophy is the story of Gilles Villeneuve, a Canadian driver revered for his tenacity on the track. Villeneuve was a talented and fearless driver who won the hearts of his many fans, teams and other racers. His crazy style matched Ferrari's motive, and his passion for motorsport was unwavering. However, Villeneuve's already successful and promising career was cut short during a final lap for the Belgian Grand Prix at Zolder in May 1982. Beating all the odds and pushing his Ferrari race car to the limit, he collided with another and met an instant end. His death sent a shocking message throughout the racing world, but still, Ferrari kept his distance. In Enzo's view, the racer had fulfilled his role, giving everything for the brand, even his own life. It wasn't until several years later that the spotlight shifted to honour Villeneuve's sacrifice and major contributions to motorsport, with fans regarding him as one of the sport's legends. The death of Villeneuve, however, didn't change Ferrari's philosophy about human toll in any way. In fact, his death was just one of several during Ferrari's era. Even the death of another great racer from Italy didn't faze him. Another story is of Lorenzo Bandini. Bandini raced for Ferrari in the 1960s, giving his all to secure victories for the Scuderia. He was on his way to winning more races, but just like Gilles Villeneuve, a huge tragedy occurred. During the Monaco Grand Prix race of 1967, Bandini crashed his Ferrari 312 into a guardrail, causing it to overturn and burst into flames. It was a horrific sight. Bandini was trapped in the burning wreckage as onlookers and officials tried to pull him out of the burning Ferrari. Bandini's accident was watched by millions, and it revealed the dangers F1 drivers were faced with when racing. It took several painful minutes for rescue crews to arrive, and the whole world watched in horror. At first, Bandini made it out of the crash alive, but succumbed to his burns and injuries 3 days later. Yet again, Ferrari, true to his reputation, was more affected by the destruction of the race car than the loss of his talented driver. Enzo's response to the death of Bandini further emphasised his cold demeanour that left many drivers feeling alone and unwanted. However, Bandini's death wasn't without honour. The Lorenzo Bandini Trophy was established in his memory, honouring drivers and teams for their achievements in Formula One since 1992. This couldn't keep happening. Something had to be done. Fast forward to today, and Formula One has taken an entirely different turn, putting the driver's safety as paramount. A team's focus has shifted from securing victories towards protecting their drivers. F1 now invests millions in research and technology, finding every means possible to ensure the safety of their drivers on the track. With new technologies and innovations like the Halo device, barrier systems, plus head and neck support, modern F1 cars are not just designed for high speeds, but also for survival. The F1 cars of the modern day are built to withstand impacts that would have been terrible during Ferrari's time. And it's not just the physical safety of drivers that is improved. Their mental health and overall wellness are also considered a top priority. Drivers are now assigned fitness coaches, nutritionists, and mental health experts. All of this is done to put the driver's focus on the race, knowing that their safety is all well accounted for. So, what happened? What changed? Would you like to know how Formula One moved on from Ferrari's cars over drivers mindset to a sport where the driver is more important than the car? Now, much of this shift came from a new generation of leadership in Formula One and the influence of the drivers that gained momentum over the years. This caused more drivers to start voicing their opinions and concerns as their influence grew stronger. This led to better safety regulations and more human-focused approaches. Drivers like Ayrton Senna, Niki Lauda and Jackie Stewart pushed the efforts for better trackside medical services and overall car conditioning. Especially after an excruciating crash that took Senna's life in 1994, F1 moved all their focus to safety, which led to some of the most significant changes in its history. In today's Formula One, teams are building strong relationships with their drivers, collaborating and having mutual respect. This is something that would have been unimaginable under Enzo Ferrari's leadership, where the drivers and teams are far distant from each other. But could we actually blame Enzo Ferrari entirely? Or were all these principles really worth it? It would be unfair to cast Enzo Ferrari solely aside as a villain in F1's past. His tenacity and dedication built one of the most iconic brands in history. It's also undeniable that Ferrari's approach, although harsh, started the beginning of an era. His initial focus on building only the best and fastest cars set a standard that F1 engineering has gained inspiration from until this day. It continues to push F1 forward, improving in every season and giving the most exciting races of all time. Ferrari's cold approach also serves as a reminder of the human cost when drivers are viewed as tools for victories and not seen as regular people. Today's F1 reshaped Ferrari's philosophy of cars over drivers, but with a far greater balance between man and machine and a much more driver-centric approach today. Ferrari, the brand, has also evolved to place more value on their drivers' well-being, introducing new technologies and safety measures, an evolution that perhaps even Enzo Ferrari himself would appreciate in some way. Enzo Ferrari's legacy is complicated. His pursuit of speed, performance and innovation helped make Formula One what it is today, but his treatment of drivers reveals a darker side of the sport's past. In the modern day, F1 has come a long way from that old cold philosophy, becoming a sport where drivers are seen as heroes and celebrities and not as replaceable pawns. Now the new generation of racers pushes the limits of speeds and skill, but this time they can appreciate that they do so in a world that values both human life and the uplifting joy of racing. So what do you think? Did Enzo Ferrari's cold philosophy help shape F1 for the better, or did it go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that notification bell to stay updated on everything Formula One. See you in the next one.